Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with Just Fan TV, man. Back action of the video. Like the content of this video, go smash that like button. Like the content of this channel. Go subscribe, man. Look, so Ravens versus Bills game preview. Okay, two of the probably what people expect to be two of the three best teams in the AFC, right, along with the Chiefs. Okay, the Ravens are 1-2, the Bills are undefeated. So we're gonna talk about what we talked about kind of last week, the injury report, what the Bills have done so far, keys to the game, X factors, things like that. All right. So as far as the injury report for the Ravens, right, there will be I'm suspecting that there will be a change on the offensive line just because Andrew Voorhees has been listed as doubtful, right? So with that being said, Jalen Armour-Davis has been ruled out, and starting center Ty Linderbaum is listed as questionable. Okay, so for the Ravens, I have a feeling that Linderbaum will play. But if we're talking about Voorhees being out, that means that the Ravens are going to have a new left guard in the game, right? So that could mean a couple of things, right? Rosengarten goes full-time right tackle, slide McCary over to left guard. Josh Jones plays left guard. McCary stays at right tackle. So we'll see what the Ravens actually end up deciding to do when it comes to that, right? So that's kind of the big thing coming out of there in terms of the Ravens and the injury report, right? So I just kind of wanted to see what they had. I know Linderbaum is questionable, but he was a full participant in this Friday's practice, so Linderbaum's going to play, right? And Andrew Voorhees has been DNP all week. They got him as doubtful, but he might as well be listed as out. He's not going to play, right? So the Ravens will have one change on the offensive line for sure. Okay. Now as far as the Bills, I believe that they have a couple of guys out. That's notable names if you know about the Bills, but Terrell Bernard and Teron Johnson, right? So remember Teron Johnson a couple years ago, interception, took it to the house in the playoffs versus the Ravens, right? Also, just a good player, right? He's been a good player. So those two guys are out for the Bills, okay? All right, so the Bills, undefeated, right? Last three games, beat the Cardinals 34-28, beat the Dolphins 31-19, absolutely stomped the Jaguars 47-10 on Monday night, right? So the Bills are rolling to start the year, right? So when I look at the Bills defense, right, first a couple things that pop off to me, right? They haven't given them a lot of points the last couple of games, right? 19 and then 10 the game prior to that. So the defense is starting to play better, right? Defense that they thought that might be a little bit of a trouble spot for the team this year because, they lost some guys. Not really lost some guys. They kind of just let some guys go, right? The Bills had a little bit of an older defense, so they made a conscious decision to get younger, and so far that's paying off for them, right? They still kept some vets around, and they still got Von Miller, guys like that, right? But this Bills defense is really different from the one that we seen a couple of years ago, right? So, only allowing 16 yards a game for seventh in the not 16 yards, 16 points a game, for seventh in the NFL. When you look at their passing stats, right, they're top 10 in pass defense, 168 yards allowed a game. Now they're rushing, middle of the pack, right? They're allowing 118 yards a game, and if we know the Ravens' strength, that's something the Ravens can get at, right? So with the Bills, right, especially these last two games, right, because I watched them play the Dolphins, that was a Thursday night game, and I watched some of them play the Jaguars, right? So in these kind of games, they've been up early, right? So teams haven't really had the chance to run the ball on them, right? But the Cardinals in week one, they were able to, right? So for the Ravens, that's one of the keys to the game right there, okay? Will the Ravens be able to run the football? Because the Bills haven't really been in a negative game script the last 2 weeks, right? They were up on Miami quick. They were up on Jacksonville definitely quick. And so, when you're in that kind of game, you know what the offense is going to do. They're going to have to throw the football, right? So can the Ravens counteract that, actually be in the game early on and force this Bills run defense to show improve, right? We're going to have to see about that, okay? Now for the Bills offense, okay? 329 yards a game for 13th in the league. They're pretty good on third down, top 10 in the league on third down, 41%. And this is the one that stood out to me, right? They are allowing less than a sack a game, and that's first in the NFL, right? So Josh Allen is not being taken to the ground. Now, that's a couple of things, right? Josh Allen's an incredibly hard quarterback to sack, right? But to me, it's really about this one right here, right? The Bills are only averaging 24 pass attempts per game. That's 28th in the NFL, right? Only 209 yards, about middle of the pack, right? But they're rushing 29 attempts for 11th, 120 yards a game for 14th, right? So for the Ravens, right, this Bills team is very, very different from the Bills team in the past, right? They're not really slinging it all over the yard as of right now, right? And that's because they haven't had to. Once again, they've been up in these games. They've been able to run the football. So the Bills are playing this year, especially out of heavier formations, and it's kind of become a smash mouth team a little bit, right? Which, like I said, is very different from when they had Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, and they had one more wide receiver. I think John Brown. They were spreading it around, right, with Josh Allen, right? Very, very different team from that. Okay, so this Bills team, it's gonna be the Ravens' biggest test so far this year, right? Listen to me when I say that, right? The Chiefs game was the first game of the year, right? Both teams don't really know what they're doing in terms of, it's a new year, whatever, right? The Raiders game they should have won, and the Cowboys are kind of a mess if we're being honest, right? So I think the Bills are going to be the Ravens' biggest test so far, right? And that's not to say that they're better than the Chiefs, but it's just to say that we kind of got into the groove of the season, right? The Bills are playing. They know what they need to do. The Ravens know what they need to do now from this point on. So it's going to be a really big test for the team, right? So when I look at this game, the Ravens have to be able to, one, get pressure on the quarterback and stop the run, right? So for this game, for going against Buffalo, you would think it's really about the pass, but this year they've changed it up, right? So James Cook has been a really big weapon for them this year, running, catching the ball in the backfield. So it's a different kind of task versus this Bills team, right? Now, also, Josh Allen has stepped his game up, right? I'm watching the games. Josh Allen has called out more at the line of scrimmage. He has more complete control over the offense. So that's going to be a chess match between him and Roquan Smith, right? Can the Ravens disguise their coverage as well? Can they disguise their blitz as well? Can they fool Josh Allen every now and then, right? Because if there's one thing that's been consistent about Josh Allen's play is that a couple of times a game he will give you a chance. He would give you a chance, right? Whether that's throwing the ball up, not reading the coverage right. He's an amazing quarterback, good, really, really good player. But there will be a couple of times a game where he will give the Ravens the opportunity to catch an interception. Okay. The Ravens got to capitalize on those opportunities. That's just what it is, right? So if I want to go to the keys to the game, right, kind of talked about it a little bit, but for offense, right, I want to say continued aggression, right? And what do I mean by that, right? When I watched them play the Cowboys, the offensive line was moving people, right? Now, once again, this could be the Cowboys defensive line which has not been good this year. So it could be a little bit of that, right? We got to take that into account. But the Ravens were moving people up front, and it made the game easy, right? Lamar Jackson finishes the game with 15 pass attempts because there's no reason to throw the ball when Derrick Henry is before he gets touched, he's 2-3 yards down the field, right? That goes back to what we've been saying this entire season, that if you get Derrick Henry a runway, especially on the edge, he could be lethal. He could be difficult to bring down, right? And we kind of saw that for the first time consistently versus the Cowboys, right? So, for me, that's the first key to the game. Continued aggression for the Ravens, right? Continue to move people up front, play right in the play action game, actually use some more play action, and that will help this passing game kind of get going as well, right? So, the Ravens have guys that they need to get the ball to, Mark Andrews, likely, Bate, and Zay Flowers, right? I want to see those guys get a little bit more involved, but that's going to start with the offensive line being aggressive, getting pushed up front, and this run game continue to go, that the pass game can play off of that, right? So to me, that's the key to the game on offense, all right? On defense, physicality up front, right? We kind of mentioned it, right? The Bills are not this spread it out, throw it all over the field kind of team, right? Things have changed. They lost pass catchers, right? Keon Coleman and Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir are kind of their top pass catchers, right? So it's not Stephon Diggs and all these other guys anymore, right? So they have to be able to run the ball. So Ravens, you start to run up front, and you make this team one-dimensional, right? This kind of goes back to when everybody tried to get mad at Roquan Smith before week 1 when he said, yeah, the goal is to make Kansas City one-dimensional and throw the football. Like, you want to make Patrick Mahomes throw the ball? Well, yeah, if we know what he's doing, it's easier to stop. Doesn't mean that you can stop it, but it's easier to stop. Same thing with this game. If the Ravens can get the Bills in obvious passing situations, not saying that it's going to be easier to stop. It's going to be easy to stop Josh Allen, but you give yourself less to worry about, okay? And then last one, bringing the D line, bringing Allen to the ground, right? Josh Allen, the way he plays, it kind of reminds me of when we used to watch Ben Roethlisberger, like a young big Roethlisberger, right? Scrambling, breaking tackles from the D line, and then off of that, you get a big play down the field because now the cornerbacks are forced to hold up for 4, 5, 6 seconds because Josh Allen's making a play in the backfield, right? So that's what I don't want to see from the Ravens, right? And that leads me right into the X factor for the game on defense, okay? And to me, it's gonna be a guy like Odafe Oweh, all right? Odafe Oweh has had a really, really good start to the season, okay? I think he had 2.5 sacks versus the Raiders. He was active in the Chiefs game, right? He missed Patrick Mahomes. He was really active versus the Cowboys. Got a really, really bad roughing the passer call. We talked about that in the previous video. The NFL already said they made a mistake on that call, right? So Odafe Oweh bringing Josh Allen to the ground is a major factor in this game, right? And not just him alone, but X-Factors was talking about one player, but Odafe Oweh has been the kind of guy where the Ravens need a standout pass rusher, right? That's one of the reasons why they signed Yannick Ngakoue, right? Which I haven't talked about, but they brought him on the team because they know they needed a little bit more pass rush juice, right? The Ravens need a dominant guy off the edge, right? That says, hey, look, when it's obvious passing downs, I'm going to get the QB, right? And Odafe Oweh has the chance in this game to prove he's that guy for the team, right? So that's what I want to see from Odafe Oweh, right? Not only beating the left tackle, but getting the quarterback to the ground consistently. So Josh Allen is no easy task, but when you want to be one of the best edge rushers in the league, you got to bring down the best quarterbacks in the league. It's just simple as that, okay? And then other one is left guard, right? I got a question mark next to it because, like I said, mentioned earlier, we don't know who that's going to be, right? It could be Ben Cleveland. It could be McCurry, right? Shifting over there. Rosengarten plays right tackle. It could be Josh Jones playing left guard. So those are 3 options right there that we really don't know who it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be Cleveland. If I had to guess, they put McCurry at left guard and they let Rosengarten play the whole game at right tackle. If I had to guess how the Ravens were going to line up, that's how I would assume it would go. All right. Just because McCurry's been starting this entire year. The Ravens obviously love Patrick McCurry. They want to keep him in the lineup. So if I had to guess how it's going to go, that's my guess. Okay. And then last but not least, like score prediction for the game, right? So this should be a really good game, right? I don't think it's going to be a lighted up scoreboard kind of game because these are 2 good defenses, right? The Ravens defense has struggled this year, but I think that's more communication things, right? They get that down pat, they're going to be okay, right? So for this game, it's going to be a little lower scoring. So I'm going to go 23-17 Ravens to put on Sunday night, right? So that's my prediction. That's my thoughts about the game in totality. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and give me your thoughts about the game in the comments, banging over pod.com. But it's Gabriel, another Fan TV. I'm out.